She was standing on a cold Toronto street corner with a small box of candies in her hands, her breath visible in the winter air, while people hurried past her without even a glance. To most, she was invisible, a girl trying to survive by selling cheap sweets. But to him, the moment he saw her, she wasn't just another face in the crowd. She was the queen of his dreams, even if she didn't know it yet. Her name was Clara. She had once dreamed of being a teacher, of having her own classroom filled with laughter and books. But life had a cruel way of tearing dreams apart. After her mother passed away and her father abandoned the family, Clara had no choice but to raise her younger brother. Rent, food, school supplies, it all weighed on her shoulders. So she sold candy on the streets after her cleaning shifts ended, hoping every coin she earned would buy another day of survival. He noticed her first at the subway exit, where she held out her small box and whispered softly, "Candy, 2 for $1." Most ignored her. Some brushed past as though she was a nuisance. But he stopped. His name was Daniel, a young entrepreneur who, despite his polished suit and busy schedule, carried his own scars of growing up in poverty. He knew what it felt like to be overlooked, to be dismissed, to feel small in a big city that never slowed down. When Daniel bought the candies, Clara gave him a shy smile. It was brief, almost hidden, but it was enough to stir something deep inside him. He came back the next day, not because he craved candy, but because he craved her smile. And each day, he noticed the exhaustion in her eyes, the way her hands trembled in the cold, the way she clutched the box like it was her last lifeline. One evening, as the snow began to fall heavier, Daniel couldn't hold back his concern. "Why are you out here? You'll freeze." Clara hesitated before answering. "Because I don't have a choice. My little brother needs food, and if I don't stand here, he'll go hungry." Her voice cracked, but she quickly looked away, as if afraid that showing weakness would make her seem smaller. Daniel didn't see weakness. He saw strength, resilience, and a beauty that no crown or throne could match. That night, he made a decision. He returned with a thermos of hot chocolate, gloves, and a scarf, handing them to her quietly. "At least keep warm," he said. For the first time, Clara's eyes softened, and she whispered, "Thank you." Days turned into weeks, and their conversations grew. Clara began to share pieces of her dreams, how she wanted to study, how she wished she could give her brother a better life. And Daniel listened, really listened, not like the others who passed her by. To him, she wasn't just a girl selling candy, she was a fighter, a protector, and in his eyes, she shone brighter than any queen in a palace. The turning point came when Clara's landlord threatened eviction. She stood outside the subway crying silently, the candy box untouched. When Daniel approached, she told him everything. For a moment, she felt ashamed, but he gently lifted her chin. "Clara, you've carried the weight of the world alone for too long. Let me help." And he did, not by pity, but by partnership. He offered her a job at his company, starting small, learning step by step. He even helped enroll her brother in a better school. At first, Clara was hesitant, afraid to trust, afraid this kindness would vanish like everything else in her life. But Daniel never wavered. Slowly, she allowed herself to believe that maybe life could change. Months later, Clara no longer stood on the cold streets selling candy. She walked into an office with confidence, her brother thriving in school, her heart carrying gratitude and hope. And Daniel, watching her grow, realized the truth. He had known from the start, he hadn't just met a girl struggling to survive. He had met the queen of his dreams. For Clara, the candy box was no longer her identity. It was a memory, a reminder of how far she had come, and of the man who saw her worth when the world looked away. Their story wasn't about wealth or fairy tales, it was about compassion, about two people who found strength in each other when life was at its hardest. And in the end, the message was clear: sometimes, the most powerful love stories begin not with perfection, but with struggle. Because true love doesn't see what you have, it sees who you are. Would you like me to adjust this story to fit exactly into a 4-minute YouTube video script format with timing cues, or do you prefer this free-flow narrative style?